your activities, and especially what do you do in summer, will make a huge difference, because admissions officers are not only just looking at your score, but they want to make sure that you're an interesting classmate, you're an interesting roommate, and you're an interesting alumni in the future. So there's nothing better than plan your summer strategically to give you that unique narrative that captures the admission officers' hearts and the minds.
So when you are looking at competitive institutions, right? So highly selective colleges in the US, let's say that's a top 50, right? Let's call that a top 50. These colleges are practicing something called holistic admissions, right? Holistic coming from the word whole, meaning they are looking at the whole student. So they're looking at academics, they're looking at extracurriculars, they are looking at personal qualities. You know, academics, we're looking at grades, we're looking at the rigor of your curriculum. Have you taken challenging classes? Have you done well in them? They'll look at standardized testing, right? But when we are looking at your academics, the thing about when we look at your academics is, yeah, we're going to see some AP scores. We might see, you know, some predicted IB scores. We might see some additional classes that you've taken outside of the classroom, which all show that you are, you know, really, you know, excited and you're really like committed to, you know, your academics. But the majority of students applying to colleges, to these selective colleges, are also academically really strong. They are academically qualified. I believe at Harvard, we estimated that about 85% of students applying to Harvard were academically qualified. So they had strong grades, they had taken a challenging curriculum, they had really strong standardized testing. And so having good grades and all of that really is merely what gets your foot in the door, right? It's what makes you a viable applicant. It's everything else that really makes your application compelling. It's those extracurriculars, it's those personal qualities. You know, with personal qualities, we're talking about, you know, recommendation letters, possibly an interview. We're looking at your common application essay. Are we learning something new about you, getting a sense of your, you know, your personal qualities? We're looking at supplemental essays. Did you do your research on our college? You know, are you really helping us imagine you on our campus? And of course, we're looking at extracurriculars, and we're looking at extracurriculars for, you know, for many reasons, but we're hoping here that we learn about what's important to you. We might learn that you have some strengths in certain areas. We learn about your level of commitment, how much you can dig into something, you know, any impact or leadership you've had, if you've been able to take initiative. And so that's what I want to concentrate on today, is that kind of that pillar in the admissions process, that pillar in how we are looking at applications. Next slide, please. All right, so what are extracurriculars? Why do they matter? Touched on it here for a second in that last slide. But extracurriculars are virtually any activity, right? Like, what are you doing when you are not eating or sleeping or attending class? Like, how are you spending your time? It can be, you know, student clubs and organizations that are, you know, kind of official clubs at your high school. It can be community service. It can be organizations, you know, for, you know, that are for youth outside of your high school. It can be hobbies. It can be independent research. Home responsibilities count. Like, do you work to help support your family? Do you help out with some grandparents or some younger siblings? Those also counted as extracurriculars. Of course, athletics, internships, and a number of other amazing opportunities. So extracurriculars are really going to help us get to know you a bit more, as I mentioned. And when you're actually filling out your application, you know, when you're filling out the Common App, you have, if you haven't done that or haven't looked around on that, you have 10 slots on the application. So you can choose up to 10 activities to put on your application. You don't have a lot of space to actually describe what you've done. So you want to be able to really highlight what you've been able to do in each of these organizations. Even if, you know, it could be, I, you know, placed in this competition, or I led this initiative, or I founded this organization, and so on. Like, you don't have a lot of space. And so you want to be able to really highlight whatever your impact was, whatever your position was